Okay, I wanted to do some flower, not pressing, but flower prints. So I'm taking some of my flowers from my garden. You can see that I'm outside, a little different setup today. Hoping this works and doesn't blow away. I've done it before and it comes out pretty good. Never videotaped it though, so we shall see how this goes. My flowers already a lot of them are coming to an end. I live in Wisconsin and it's been very dry here, very dry and hot. So I have discovered that the bigger flowers like this marigold, it's very wet on the inside. So I'm just gonna pick that apart. I want some of that color. And now it's actually starting to rain a little bit. So I'm gonna try to hurry up and see how this goes. Oh man, this is very interesting. Okay. Hopefully that rain just goes right by. It's windy. This may not work very well at all. You for sure get the idea. And when this dries out, hopefully I get a nice print on my fabric and on my paper. I want to do 2 projects with this. I want to make a card and I want to make like a picture, like an embroidery kind of picture. So let's see how this turns out. Okay, so I have messed around with this quite a bit. I didn't film it because it was quite a bit of a process. But I'm going to reveal this here for you now. You saw how I laid the flowers out and hammered them. And then this is ultimately what came to be. However, the paper part was on the cement. And you can see that it left all sorts of little holes and stuff in my cardstock, which I think is okay, but we'll see. I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to do a different process, a different project with this one on paper. So this is what we're left with the fabric. So together, we're going to see what this is like. I'm just going to peel all of this off. This has dried for about a week. You want it nice and dry, or it is going to smear the flowers. They're quite wet when you first cut them and use them. They can be a little bit on the dry side, but as they dry out, they lose their color. So you're going to want to do it when they're a little bit fresher. So, okay, I'm just going to wipe that off. I've got an old paintbrush here. This is it's stiff. I had used it for glue and I still use it for glue. So I'm just going to get some of the dried leaves and flowers off of there with this. As you can see, some of it is pretty colorful and some not so much. I was very interested that and you can, mess around with this too, of course. It does take a little bit of doing. I did discover that laying out just one piece at a time was easier than trying to lay all of this out, hold it on there, and as you saw too, it was windy outside. It started to rain, but it's okay. This is what I ultimately got in the end, which I think looks pretty nice. So, okay, that doesn't look too bad. A little bit. I don't mind having some remnants of the flower on there. So you can see it's kind of distinctive. Some of like this flower, this leaf, this one. This doesn't look like a whole lot here. I'm going to tell you what these are just for your information. This is leaves of basil is what these are. This is an impatiens flower. These bright purple ones is alyssum. This brown was a piece of basil that was flowering, and I was quite surprised that it ended up being brown. But it had pretty white flowers on there. This was a marigold. So those are the flowers that I used that I had in my garden. And now what I'm going to do is, if you have a hoop, you can use a hoop if you want to. You don't have to. This might be a little bit small for this, but I'm just going to pop it on here just to show you that it does make it easier to hold, and it keeps the embroidery kind of flat. So, and then tighten that up. I like to pull it a little bit on the corners. Anyway, I guess, start out by saying what you're going to need for this project, which isn't much. You can leave it just like this and frame it, as I have done, as you saw the framed one that I did previous. You could leave it like this. I wanted to do a little bit embroidery to enhance the flowers and make them maybe just a little bit more distinct, or the stems. So I've already gotten some colors that I want to use, some greens, and then this white, off-white embroidery thread. I'm going to use, and I'm going to make some French knots in that to simulate the white flowers of the basil. So I'm not going to waste your time and do this whole thing, but I will show you just very briefly. I'm going to start out with a French knot in the middle of my flower here. And I have just a single, this is just a single thread, which is usually when you embroider, well, you can use as many as you want. It comes with 6 on the spool. You don't have to put a knot in there. Sometimes it's nice to just, I don't think you're supposed to put knots in. You're not for crochet, but nonetheless, I'm doubling it up because I want the knot to be, the French knots to show. And the less the thread you have, the more knots you have to put in to build the knot up. Otherwise you won't even see it with a single thread. So I typically do 3 times. We'll see how that works. See how that looks. That doesn't look too bad. And again, I just want to do this just to enhance it a little bit. Can you see that? I think that looks just fine. So there's my little knot there. I'm just going to knot it off on the back very quickly here. Some people really like to have the back of their work look very neat, which is fantastic if you can do it. I happen to be not that great at it, I don't think, not that neat. So, okay, so that is that. And now I want to do just some stems. And I'm just using the single now because, again, I don't want this to show a whole lot. I just want to do it to enhance what is already there. Now, I haven't knotted this. Picked up a little leaf there. I'm just gonna hold that in the back. If you're interested in me showing some embroidery stitches, I can do that. I didn't think to do it here. Well, I did think of it, but it's just a straight stitch. And this is linen, so you can just go in and out. And it's not complicated at all. So just in and out. And just keep going as far as you want. I'm going to go probably maybe up to about here where kind of the flower part starts. So this is just kind of simulating the stem. And maybe I'll do this a little bit up here too. And this is all totally up to you. I'm trying to do something that is just a little different, not your standard, you know, flower prints. It's something I'm going to do with the paper one next time. I'm not sure when I'll do it. It might not be next week, but sometime. Is something I thought of in the middle of the night where I get some of my ideas. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out, but I guess you're going to have to stay tuned for that one. So I just tied a knot there. I'm just going to go back down over here and make sure that I just knot this around a little bit. I should have put a knot in there probably. And once you have this framed up, it won't matter. That won't be going anywhere. I guess you could use this for like a pillow or something like that if you wanted to. Would be kind of pretty. Okay, so I would just carry on in this fashion, and ultimately frame it. That is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to keep going with my French knots here, some stems here and there. It'll come out something like this, the one that you saw at the beginning of the video. Put this a little closer. You can see that I just did kind of the outline of some of the leaves a little bit on the end of the bottom part of the flower. These are, I don't know if you can pick this up, but these are little French knots that I did for the basil. For the next one, I think I learned that it's a little better maybe to do it with the twisted floss instead of just the plain. It'll make the French knots a little bit bigger and they'll show up a little bit better. But that is my tutorial for today. So pretty easy, other than the hammering of the flowers was a bit of a doing. So there won't be kits on my Etsy store for this because I obviously can't ship fresh. I mean, I could ship fresh flowers if I was a florist. I am not. But I do encourage you to go to my Etsy store at grannysquared345.etsy.com. Lots of different things there that you might like. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate everybody watching and engaging. I'm having so much fun. And I am forever mindful that without you, there is no me. So thank you. Until next time. Bye.